Hello, I'm Lisa Logan. Camera looks crooked. Looks kind of straight there. Okay, hi, I'm Lisa Logan, and I'm going to be talking about what's going on between you and your adult child that allows this to happen. And I'm so glad. But listen, the sorrow of the forsaken parent. Estranged parents are rightfully called forsaken parents, rejected by their adult child for no reason that's understood by the rejected parent. They live with the fear of being permanently banished from their families. And it is true that only the death of one of their children would be more cruel. I wrote that. I'd like to read it for you again. The sorrow, I've called it the sorrow of the forsaken parent. Estranged parents are rightfully called forsaken parents, rejected by their adult child for reasons not understood by them. Do you know why you've been rejected, truly? Have you done anything that warrants rejection? We all make mistakes, but have you done something that's serious enough to be rejected by your adult child? They live with the fear of being permanently banished from their families. Don't you? Yes. And it is true that only the death of one of their children would be more cruel. There is nothing more that's more painful in your life. I'll show you this. This is it. Okay. What I put here is the cause and the reason that we're so frightened and that we stay. I know that we love our children, all of them. But we stay and we stay, and we try to figure out what we've done wrong. The threat that you will lose your family, lose your grandchildren, lose your daughter, lose your son. The threat that you will lose your family is what keeps this going. And that's how your adult child gets power, because they actually do have the ability to close you out of your family, and they are. You're certainly not treated as a person of great importance, which is what you are. You have great importance to your family. So, I'm going to show you, because I promised you, remember those 3 circles? Okay. So what happens is that this is how this works. No, I have to do it on this side. Let me take this down. This person, your adult child, has a need to be superior, in control. This is so simple. And you, on the other hand, have a need to be accepted. Give me a minute longer. This is so simple and makes so much sense. And I'm going to show you something further. Come on, honey. Don't be bad. Do what you're supposed to. You see that? You have a need to be accepted at any cost. Oh, honey, at any cost. And this, your adult child, who's in the pink, you're in the yellow. Yep, I've got it pretty well. You're in the can. Up. And this person has a need to be superior. I'm going to have to put some more tapes up here, but I want to show you because I promised we'd talk about alcoholism. You know, my hunch is, my knowledge is that alcoholism plays a big part in this. Alcoholism, drug dependence, and do I know about that? Look. Here's you. Here we go. Here's you. And in alcoholism treatment terms, you would then be called the codependent. And a codependent has a need to be accepted by a person usually who's an alcoholic. It's just the same as this person is superior, this person is inferior. This is the alcoholic person. This is the person who could be using prescription pills. And this is the disease of alcoholism. The difference between the one that I just showed you, which was smooth, this one has holes in it. Do you see that? Both of these people have holes. They leak. This is the dysfunction that goes on when alcoholism and codependence are present. Now, the threat for you is so great. And tell me, who wouldn't it be so great for? Anyone who functioned with this would do whatever it took to keep from being rejected by their entire family. And some of you are. I mean, it's not just your daughter or your son, your adult child. It's lots of people in the family. Maybe the minister, maybe maybe your spouse, maybe your sister or your brother, maybe your mother. So look, this one has leaky boundaries. Except this is going to be easier to take care of because this person, if they'll get sober, will totally change. Look, it's hard for a lot of you to understand how in the world could alcoholism be in your family. I talked about it on one of the other videos. It's an inherited genetic predisposition. There's no moral judgment against a person. People, because of an inherited genetic predisposition to cancer, will have cancer. We don't judge them in a negative way. Do we? I don't think so. I hope not. I know it was fashionable at one time to say, you know, you caused this yourself. You worried about it and you gave it to yourself. Oh, it's not true. It's not true. I don't believe that. I'm just telling you. So here's the leaky boundary person of alcoholism or any kind of chemical dependence. It can happen from prescription pills with doctors that doctors give out. Doesn't mean it's the doctor's fault. Although doctors have a high rate of drug dependence, the disease of alcoholism or the disease of chemical dependence, they have a high rate too. Everyone does. What is it, about 25% of our population? I happen to think it's higher. Okay. And this is what you're going through without alcoholism, but it's the same thing. What I want you to do for you tonight or tomorrow, should you decide that you're willing to do this, I want you to make a list. And don't be, it took me a long time in my family to figure out what was going on with my mother. I mean, I'm a codependent, but the disease of alcoholism came from somewhere. And what it took me a while to get in the beginning was the fact that my mother was taking Valium almost on a daily basis. Maybe she was. And because it was given out by the doctor, no one paid attention to it. So what I want you to do is make a list of all the people in your family who might be addicted to chemicals, and so that it'll take care of, treat a chemical imbalance in the brain. I want you to do that. And then I want you to list who the codependents are. A codependent is a person who wants to please, who needs to please. Don't you have a need to please your child? And you can have the disease of alcoholism and the dysfunction of codependence at the same time. And I'll show you another thing. Because your adult child may be working with you as this person, and you are this person. However, if your adult child has a spouse, this can all be changed around. This can be his or her spouse, and this can be his or her, your child. Do you understand that? Because your child then wants to please his or her spouse. And the fear there is that his or her spouse may find someone else and leave them, or they may be, and they'll be left. You know, but we're working with it because it happens to you. Now, I've made up a new board. Because one of the hardest things for you to do, it's been my observation, between the parent, that's you, and your adult child, is to talk to one another. I used to say to my daughter, honey, let's talk. I mean, I can talk good. And I know how to be fair, so that she got her needs met too. So she'd go, okay, let's talk. And we'd start talking, and immediately we'd disagree. Of course. First of all, because she didn't want to lose her power. Secondly, because I didn't want to be estranged from my family. So I was afraid, and when it got too scary, I'd kind of give in ways. You understand that. We all do that. There is nothing worse than the threat of losing our family. You understand that. You know that. It's a horrible threat. And again, many of you, not many of you, but many people, no, you too, consider suicide. I'm not saying to do that, but of course you do. I would bet you, and I've said this already, 90% of you think about taking your own life. You don't do it, thank you God, but you think about it, and you probably haven't thought about it in your entire life until the threat of losing your family happened. So it's important as we start this that you make a diagram, write a list put chemical dependence on one side. Yep, that's my hand. It gets really big when I get close to the camera, so it always looks like if my feet were there, it'd be awful. Okay, so I want you to make a list. Chemical dependence, people who are addicted, and people who want to please and are afraid of being abandoned. Between two spouses, the threat of losing their spouse is serious, but not nearly as serious as the threat of you losing your family is. You only have one family. And many of you, because this happens many times to a mother who's only had one child, who has an only child. So if you lose your adult child, you've lost everything. I'm not saying that it's not painful for those of you who have several adult children and many grandchildren, but the person who I believe suffers the most is the parent of an only child. So you got to help. You got to do this. You got to do some of this on your own. You've got to make two lists, and some of you may be on both lists. You may have inherited the genetic predisposition. If you had one mother or father who were chemically dependent, not codependent, chemically dependent, then your chance of inheriting this genetic predisposition, which is a disease of the brain, we don't have to be ashamed of this. We inherited it. So if you had one parent who was chemically dependent, then the possibility that you will have inherited it is 50%. They said 45% back when I was being trained years ago. Okay? And if you had both parents who were chemically dependent, either with alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, then you have 90% chance of having inherited it. Very few of you escape when you've had both parents who are chemically dependent. All it's about is your brain trying to stabilize itself so that it feels normal. The person who is an alcoholic feels normal when they've been drinking. That's normal for them. The person who is a drug addict feels normal. If they don't have those drugs or the chemicals found in alcohol or the chemicals found in the drugs that are prescribed from them, for the drugs prescribed for them from their doctor, then they don't feel withdrawal. They'll go into withdrawal. All three: alcohol, chemicals that are in drugs, and chemicals that are in drugs that are given to you by your doctors. This morning on the news it said that there's an up-and-coming drug that is going to be necessary, but that is much more powerful than oxycodone is. That's amazing. That's amazing. Imagine the black market for that. It's frightening what we can do. So, what I started to say, because I'm developing I'm calling it a game, but it's not a game. It's a way of talking to each other. It was impossible for my daughter and I to talk. And I couldn't believe it, because I can talk to anybody. It was so frustrating. I didn't let her see my frustration. She was frustrated too. She'd go, "No, Mother, you're wrong. That's not what happened." And I went, "Okay, honey, tell me what happened." Because the threat was that if I said, "That is what happened," I know That is what happens. Boom, boom, boom. I could have been taken out of my family. And that was something I did not want to have happen. It was very frightening. So, do you remember those 3 circles? Here, I've got them right here. I'm going to go back to the 3 circles. I want these guys for right now. You remember these? Okay. And you remember how I said that the nurturer is up here and the decider down here are feelings and the antenna. The feelings and the antenna. And this is the thinker. Okay? So what would happen was, when we were talking, and I don't have the other big one, I took that inside of my home, but what would happen is, she was automatically the one who she believed was superior and knew everything about what was going on. And I was scared. And I had my antenna out there going, okay, don't go too far. Lisa, don't go too far. You could lose your family. So how could we have an equal communication? But this part of us, the thinker or the adult ego state, this is the parent. Forget about, that's why I didn't do it. Never mind that I just said the parent. This is the person who is being the decider. That would have been my daughter on a continual basis. And this is the feeler. That was me. And my feeling was scared. Just scared. But the thinker. So what I've done is devise a way so that the 2 of you can think with each other. And what do you need to do to think? You have to be rational. Everything's in writing. I want you to know, the person from here says, reads it off of a card. I resent you because in 2 years ago, I resent you because 2 years ago, and you write this down and you hold it up and you read it. But you don't say it out loud. They have to read it because they need to be in this ego state and get out of here. Automatically, when you do something, it's from here, your head, you're here. So you're going to be reading what I've just written, which is 2 years ago, I resent you because, say this is written, I resent you because 2 years ago you asked me to leave. It's not true. You asked me to leave your house. And I felt very humiliated by that. I've just written that out. You read it. And then you have one that says, I resent you because, and you fill it out and you say, don't say it, just write it. I resent you because you were loud and tried to tell my kids what to do. So yes, I did ask you to leave. Okay. The next card is, I appreciate you because I know deep down, my daughter, you want to do what's right. Now your turn is, well, I appreciate you because you've always been there for me. And then we go back to the resentment, and you talk about what you appreciate. You do a resentment and appreciation, a resentment and appreciation. And I made these as if I was sitting there in the room with you both and directing you to do these things. But I don't need to because it's all written out. And you trade these cards back and forth. And it takes 4 meetings, 1 month, to get through all of these. And yeah, it's going to open communication between the 2 of you. And I want that for you. You've had no communication. You can't, because your adult child is there judging you the whole time and saying, boy, are you ever messed up, mother? And you, sitting over here, me, the wonderful mother, is going, oh, how can she do this? Why is she doing this to me? This hurts so bad. I just want her to stop. And you say, honey, I understand. Let's try to take care of it. Okay, I'm saying anything to be pleasing to you, which is what the codependent does. And that's why it's important for you to start looking at all the members of your family. You can also put your doctor in there, or her doctor, or his doctor in there. You can also put their minister. The family members, because there are a lot more than just the two of you involved in this. So I need you to make a list. And I'm going to make a list for you also and put it up here and bring it in tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow's Saturday. I'm probably going to make one anyway for you. Because I want to see you get help. I want to have help for you. Now, let me talk about something else. I've been talking about the video that I made that is about the fact that I saw Jesus. I didn't know that I would ever tell you that. It was about 12 years ago. And I know that it was a little bit longer than that, but I've just sort of said 12, and I think it's longer. I know it is. It has to be. And that I never intended on telling you this, but it is absolutely God's will that I talk about this with you. And I'll tell you why. The video is 1 hour and 7 minutes long. And it is simply titled Video 1. When you don't get it in on time with YouTube, they just use their own word, and their own word is, the title of my video is Video 1. Find the video that says Video 1 and is 1 hour and 7 minutes long. And don't turn it off right away. Because, and I'm going to tell you everything that's there in a greatly shortened version. But I was pulled out and up. I felt my body stretch. I had never had an experience like that. I had another experience 40 years, no, not 40, 30 some years before that, where I ended up in the universe as an oval of light connected to other ovals of light by beams of light. And we were in the universe. It was total bliss. And that was when my daughter was 3 years old. That's how I tell time, don't you? By how old your children have been when this happened. But this time, I had fallen and hurt my back. I was supposed to have surgery, and I decided, no, I'm going to go away and rest in the sun, and that meant going where it was hot, down in Arizona and New Mexico. So, I was called, and I believed that that was true at the time, because a woman said, why don't you go here? You can hear the whole thing on the video that's 1 hour and 7 minutes long. So I went because I really believed that God was speaking through that beautiful woman. And so I did. I went to the church she told me to go to in Tucson, Arizona. It's called St. Philip's. It's an Episcopal church. And I went to a meditation class that was run by a priest. The Episcopals have priests, and his name was Father Cliff. And I sat, there were 9 or 10 of us there. I was the first one there besides Father Cliff, and I closed my eyes, and breathed, and immediately felt myself pulled out and up. I felt my body stretch, and there I was, sitting in a room across from Jesus. It was soft light. I think the walls were probably wood. I didn't look at a lot, I looked at him. He has the most beautiful eyes. I can't tell you. It's as if they glow. And he's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. This is the closest likeness we see today, and this was painted in the 1950s. The original painting that's different from this, darker hair, Ariel Assange is the artist who painted this, a Turkish man from Turkey. Can you see that? Let's see. Oh, yeah. He's so beautiful. His eyes, I just couldn't take my eyes off of his eyes. They were fascinating. And I realized that it was Jesus. I knew that. And then I began to apologize for things that I'd done wrong. And I would like to tell you that I asked him questions. I'd like to tell you that I told him how much I love him, because I do. I'd like to tell you a lot of things that I did, but this is what I honestly did. I said, I want you to know that I'm sorry because of, and I am sorry, because I did this, and that I'm sorry because I did this, and then I'm sorry that I did this. And at that point, he said, stop. I love you just as you are. And I thought he couldn't possibly love me just as I am. There's so much changing for me to do. There's so many things I need to do to be who I'd like to be. And then, as if to show me that he really did mean it, there was the most beautiful energy that just curled around the side of the room, the side of the table, the side of the room, and I saw it, and I thought, he's showing me that he really means it, that he loves me. I thought, I just don't see how he could. And that he accepts me as just exactly the way I am. And then he said, I know that you can't forgive your mother, so I'm going to do it for you. And I thought, oh, he knows about my mother and me. When I felt embarrassed, and then I thought, sorry, I can't, it's true. I thought, well, I don't know that I want him to do that. I don't know that I want to have that happen. And then he said, although we don't speak with words, we hear each other. Pastor Piper said the same thing. For those of you who know that book, and probably because you're born-again Christians, Pastor Piper wrote a book just several years ago called, was it 63 Minutes in Heaven or 93 Minutes in Heaven? And what he said was, we didn't talk, but it's as if we read each other's minds. That's my experience as well. I never heard Jesus' voice, but I heard it. Pastor Piper was a minister who was in an automobile accident and was unconscious. I think it was on the side of the road for the minutes that he uses in the title of his book. Um, so what he said then, what I understood immediately, was that he wasn't going, he said, your mother has made many mistakes. Those mistakes are not okay. She hurt you. And I know that that's true. But so I won't take that away from you, but I'm going to give you peace. And I thought, well, that would be nice. I'd like that. I'd like to let go, but not have to say it was okay what she did, because it wasn't. He knew that. The next thing he did was come over next to me and have me put my hand like this over the oval of light that was my mother's soul, is my mother's soul. And he showed me down inside the pain that she had lived with. And then he said, put your hand like this. And he didn't touch me, but his hand was above mine like this. And he said, put my love into your mother's soul. And since that time, I've done this with many people. I have. The message now that I know, as I've gone through this several times with you in these last several days, I know that God wants you to know that if you cannot forgive your adult child, He will do it for you. That's what this is about. And every day in meditation, I've been asking as part of the meditation, in the prayer and meditation, the prayer that we say first, I ask that God help us, all of us, whether we're here or whether we're here someplace else, even on a different continent. There are so many, thousands and thousands of us, maybe millions, that this is happening to. So I ask as part of the prayer, first, to help us become more loving, forgiving, and compassionate. And second, that He help us in whatever way we're needing. And this is what He's shown. Same words. If you would like Him to forgive your child, He will do that for you. The night that I've understood this, which was 3 nights ago, I understood it, and I was right there saying, please, please, do this for me. I want that for my daughter. I have peace now with my daughter. It doesn't mean that I don't remember everything that's happened. It means that I have peace and that I have forgiven her. He did it, and He'll do it for you. I don't know how. That'll be between you and Him. But perhaps we'll spend some time together. We'll pray and we'll say the words. I'd like to do that with you. I want you to have this peace. So in the beginning I said, we're not going to be talking about religion. I don't want anyone to feel left out. And then I understood that that was a mistake, and I came in and I said, I've made a mistake. By the way, I am a born-again Christian. I became born again May 18th, 1980. I simply don't go to church any longer, and if God wanted me to be in church, I would be there. I will do anything that He wants. Right now, my relationship is this way. I love you. I want want to hear from you. I love you. Will you write to me at Forsaken Parents, FORS as in Sam, AKEN, parents, all one word, PARENTS, at gmail.com. G as in Google, at gmail.com. Email me. Talk to me. I answer everyone who writes to me. And at this point, I will definitely continue to do that. I love you so much. And if you can, and if you're willing to, go listen to the tape that's called Video 1. And it's 1 hour and 7 minutes long. You can watch it in segments. Okay, I love you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye.